Yes, are we recording?
Yes, we are. And we're
we
quite
are
good levels
good.
as well, and we're going. So
position 1 is in position. Is position 2 in position?
Ready?
So, Danny Boy to Red Leader, we're ready to go.
We are ready to go.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that tries to answer the question by three people who just keep going into the cinema, watching stuff on Netflix and coming on talking about it under the pretense of trying to tell you where it's best to spend your money. My name is Tosin and I am based up in Midlands and Coventry, and joining me on the Isle of Wight are Shaun.
Hello there.
And Sharon.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
Yeah, a bit rushed, but, a bit busy.
Rushed and sweating, as usual.
And I hope I'm not too smelly, Sharon.
No.
I know you're sitting right next to me.
Well, I've been cutting grass for 4 hours, so I smell of grass and sweat. So
that's all right then. So,
get a load of that.
Well, yeah, so we're pretty good, Tosin, thank you. How about your good old self?
I'm doing well. I mean, this is one of those times because it's a sweltering day today, and it's one of those days.
Yeah, so is it as scorchio in the Midlands as it is on the Isle of Wight?
It is definitely I don't think anywhere is ever as scorchio as it is on the Isle of Wight, but the Midlands is having a good go. Midlands is giving it a good old English try.
Good.
I'll tell you
Good
that
for
much.
you.
You might be able to hear that I've picked up a little bit of a sore throat, so I will be coughing throughout this whole thing. Sorry to say,
okay.
but I will soldier on. And I just wanted...
You won't be able to hear it, but I've been bitten a lot this week by bugs and bitey things, so I shall be scratching throughout the show, but you won't be able to hear that.
That's the wonder of being a gardener at this time of year, isn't it?
Yes, bitey things and sunburn.
Yeah. All right, cool. And so I just wanted to say a quick hello to somebody called Ali Hussey, who has got in touch with us on Facebook. And obviously on Facebook we have the title Netflix vs. Cinema, and all he's just put a post on our Facebook page, and all he said is Amazon Prime. So I've sent him back and I said, thanks, Oli. We also talk stuff available on Amazon Prime on the podcast, and actually said that I've extended an olive branch saying, would you be willing to come into the show and say why you don't like cinema and prefer Prime to Netflix? And nothing from Ollie so far. But I'm actually... Yeah, Ollie, if you're listening, that would be great. And please get in touch with us, because I'm not actually sure whether he's listened to any of the podcasts, but he just kind of goes... He put another post on that goes, rubbish, to be honest, both expensive. So I think Ollie might not be entirely happy with this end of thing. But thank you for getting in touch, Ollie. We'd like to hear more people get in touch with us. And so this is a week in which we have come back from our first deliberate fallow period, where we decided, you know what, we're going to do 3 weeks on doing the podcast and take 1 week off, if nothing else, so we can remember why we like watching films. Because I think, Sharon, sometimes you've experienced this, that we're trying to keep a job down and everything like that, and trying to find the time to actually watch films. It can just become like another extra pressure.
Yeah, it's a joy. It becomes a job and not a joy.
Yeah, and until somebody pays us for it. So. Which, of course, we are open
You're welcome
to.
that day. Yeah. We're open to sponsorship. I can wear a T-shirt on a podcast. Happy to do that.
Until somebody gives us money to do this, I mean, definitely it is the case. So, how's the fallow period worked for you guys? You guys get to see stuff? You guys get to feel like,
Yeah, I've seen loads, actually, to be fair. I've seen loads. I'm on both mediums, so I've been to the cinema a fair old bit. I know we're only going to review sort of 3 films today, but I know we've seen some others, and Sharon's seen Tolkien, which
I've been to the cinema.
We discussed the other week, I think.
Yes, it was actually easy. I found, without the pressure of thinking, I've got to get a film in, I actually managed to get 3 films in.
And we saw one together. Well, we saw 2 together, didn't we? We've seen 2 together. Yeah. So what about that? Just briefly, because we spoke about Tolkien, I would like to get Sharon's sort of take on it. Just quickly.
Yeah, we did the full review last week, so we know it's basically the life of a young Tolkien and the inspiration that led him to write Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it sort of shows his experiences as growing up in the First World War, and then as he's courting his wife. So all these different things influenced his work, and you see the influences throughout the film, sort of pictorially, and how things have influenced him and how it's inspired his work. And so I actually really liked it. It really engaged me in the way of the telling of it. The characters, I think, were sympathetic to the real people. They weren't portrayed as being too good or too perfect. So I enjoyed that, and the building of the relationships between these sort of his fellowship, his friends in university, and then his experiences in the trenches. So for me, I really enjoyed it. It really did sort of appeal to me. It was a sort of film I enjoy, and I really liked it. So I would give it a 4.
Ooh.
To add to last week's score. So yeah, I enjoyed it very much.
I saw a film, I mean, we won't discuss it, I'll just discuss it real quickly now.
Yeah.
Out of the way. I saw a film called The Corrupted, which was basically, if anyone's seen a film called The Long Good Friday, it's sort of a gangster flick that takes part in the East End just before the Olympics and that. So yeah, you know, a bit brutal, a bit crimey. It's an 18 certificate, but it's not a patch on The Long Good Friday. So, but it gets a 3 for me, that one, and so
geezers doing geezery things.
Yeah, geezery, Londony, you know, underworld, nasty, hitting with baseball bats. And,
stop. That's
with Timothy Small. Was his name Small or Spall? Timothy
Spall.
Playing. Yeah, he playing
a geezer.
Proper horrible, nasty gangster.
Oh right.
But he didn't convince me.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, that was a Corrupted. So we'll get down to the
yes.
That's
So
let's
get out to the mains, because what we decided to do is, obviously with so many films out there, we decided that we're all gonna bring one film from cinema forward and one film from Netflix forward, and sometimes there'll be overlap. We might all have seen it, and we are going to go through these, give them ratings, and at the end of the show, we're going to have an average score, and from there we shall decide who has won this week and which gives us more bang for a buck, Netflix or cinema. So we're going to kick it off with, I think what will probably be the big film this week, and that is John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, to give it its full title. So this is as you might guess from the title, the third entry in the John Wick series, which sort of came out of nowhere a couple of years ago. I think it was about 6 years ago, and it just came out and being the main thing about this was action. It was action that was done in a new way. Well, that it was done in a new way with Keanu Reeves, who goes around and kills a whole bunch of people because they kill his dog and steal his car. And it's kind of like one of these sort of hard-boiled. I felt like it almost had a bit of a 70s aesthetic, which is like, you know, there isn't much else. It's like this is it. It's a lean piece of action cinema. We're not adding any frills to it or anything like that. That was what they gave, and it spawned 2 sequels. And we now have John Wick Chapter 3. This kicks off like 2 minutes after the end of John Wick Chapter 1, where John Wick on the run with every single hitman in New York out for him because they all won the $14 million that has been put on his head. And from there on, it just carries on with John Wick going around the world killing a whole bunch of people. So that's a brief synopsis. What did you guys think of this? Because I think this is a film we have all seen.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go first, Sharon?
Well, yeah, the thing that appeals to me about the John Wick films is that it's like a world builder, isn't it? It's created a world of like this association of assassins, where they have their own currency, they have their own tailors, they have their bulletproof suits, but they're not just, you know, jumpsuits. They're like sharp, you know, Savile Row, but with that extra ching.
Let's put it, they wouldn't look out of place at Fashion Week in Milan, for instance.
No, they're just stylish, and they have their own hotels, they have their own doctors, they have a network of like informers, and so it's like they built a whole world. And I think that's what appeals to it. It's like they're not saying this is reality, they're saying this is like heightened reality. This is a world where, you know, every assassin in the world knows each other. There's a code of conduct. There's a hierarchy and an authority that they submit to. So there's that appeal to it about it's like this is structured, it's organised, and they have a code. And if you break the code, then heaven help you. And so he broke the code in the second film, and in the third film, obviously, he's reaping the world.
It's the consequences, yeah.
Yeah, so I enjoy the world building. I enjoy Keanu Reeves as John Wick.
Yep.
He's effortlessly cool. He's effortlessly brutal and violent, but he has his own moral centre, so that appeals as well. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was about half an hour too long, quite frankly.
Yep.
I got to a point where I wanted them to kick their last kick and to punch their last punch.
Yep.
And, move on. Because after one sequence of frantic, furious fighting, they just changed the weapons, but it was the same. Let me just beat up this bad guy endlessly. So I got to the point where I was thinking, can I go home now? But saying that, I did like it, so I liked it.
For me, this was a film of two halves.
Yeah.
The first half was absolutely brilliant. The scene with Halle Berry and the first two fight scenes, for me, were just
the one in the library.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And the one with Halle Berry. Halle Berry was really good with
with the dogs.
And then it fell flat on his face. It was too long. And why on earth would he go traipsing across so he goes, he goes to different places to get different things. Why would he do that? That's just like totally spoiled it. He goes in there, he says, I'm going to change my ways, does something, and then we end up back in and there's that fight that goes on way too long.
In the room of mirrors.
Yeah.
Well, it felt like mirrors, but it's just like these optical illusions.
It was trying to be like, and I mean, the thing is, the thing is with me, exactly right. The thing is with me, there's those sort of things out of those films, right? With films like that, and that's probably just me, but I find it with a lot of films is I like the crowd fight scenes. I really like the crowd, but I find the one-on-ones
they go on
a little bit too, these super trained guys, but it just goes on a little bit too long. I mean, Enter the Dragon. I love the scene in the basement and the scenes before, but the actual one-on-one, I thought, come on, let's get on with it.
Just keep going.
So for me, it was a film of two halves. I loved the first half of the film. The second film I thought was absolutely stupid. I couldn't understand why he did the things he did. Should we just mention, finger, whatever? Yeah, and then it's suddenly, and it.
I don't understand why he chopped his finger.
I just off. What the hell? What the hell? Are you? Where's this going? Where is it going? It's an act of penitence.
It didn't make a lot of sense to me.
I would agree with you. I'll stop you guys before you get way more spoilerific. But the thing is, I would agree with you on a lot of those things because I was really, really hoping, and I don't think it's a spoiler to say this, but I was really hoping that this was going to be the final part of the trilogy. But the way they end this film, they make it go, "Ooh, come back for John Wick 4," and I was just kind of like, no. Because quite frankly, it's like if you look at the end of John Wick 3, he's in no different place than he was at the end of John Wick 2.
No.
So but as you said, Shaun,
it's a mockery.
It's a
mockery.
I think it's
a mockery of the whole thing.
I think it's a mockery of the whole thing because
it's just the Assassin's Guild is like the thing, and
it's the authority.
And I fear the way going with what you're saying, Shaun. I feel like the second half of this film is where it starts becoming flabby. And it starts being and it's the first John Wick was nice and simple. You killed my dog, you stole my car. I want my car back. I'm going to find people who killed my dog. That's it. And you could follow that all the way through. You could follow out why this guy is doing this. And it might be the flimsiest of reasons to put a whole bunch of action sequence together, but you could follow it. And then in this one, the stuff with Halle Berry and everything like that, and I know I was about to go Jerome Robson, who plays Bronn in Game of Thrones. He shows up. He shows up in quite
That's
fun.
another thing to talk about.
It does. And the Game of Thrones. I was actually thinking that we could have put that on next week. And it's and it's So he shows up for like a quite fun cameo, and you're like, okay, but I think the whole because there's a whole sequence of this thing where they go to Morocco. And the way that plays out, it really, really does become, for me, like The Last Jedi. Remember in The Last Jedi, there's a sequence where they go off to a planet, and it's also like a Canto Bight. It's I know with the like little Yoda girl character. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, it's the bit where they go to the casino planet. And I remember saying at the time that you could cut that sequence out of the film; it won't make any difference whatsoever. And I feel the same thing with the Morocco sequence. I mean, I've loved the fact we got to see Halle Berry, but at the end I was like, that whole Morocco sequence, we could have done without it because it ended up meaning nothing. It ended up making no difference whatsoever. And this is where, I mean, there's things about it, about the action. I mean, I really do like the action because even in the action sequences, the way they've done it, you can see logic in the action of how they're going. Like there's a bit where he has this sort of gunfight with all these people who are wearing like heavily armored suits, and you can see in the way he goes to actually get a kill. You can see how he has to do it, and you're like, oh, I can see the logic. I can track this. You can see what he's trying to do in every single action sequence, which I quite like. But
yeah, see, that's what I say. I like those scenes. Those scenes were really good. That was perfect. You know, they're heavily armored.
Yeah,
and you know,
it does take a turn after Morocco, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and I think because they have this sort of Mark Dacascos is in it, I think they're probably thinking we cannot not have a massive brawl between the two of them because they're, because of who they are. Yeah. But that just went on too long, didn't it? It was just like, just shoot him in the head. Just shoot him.
Well, that is, I liked the interplay between those two characters, but I mean, and the director of the film has said that he wants to give you action fatigue. I think he was a bit too successful in that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think because you're just gonna like, I know exactly what you're saying, Shaun, when you're like, can we go home now?
Well, and Sharon said it as well. She talks about it too long.
Yeah, it was half an hour too long.
And then at the end of the film, you're kind of like, what? There's another one?
Yeah. Yeah, that was that. You know, it was like that was the thing that disappointed me was these. As I say, I'm going to repeat it again. The Assassin's Guild is like the elite. You know, you don't mess with them.
Yeah.
And he messed with them. You know.
Yeah, and it's like, is he going to be taking on the whole of this? The guild now?
Yeah, they're going to try and do a whole thing where they bring the world down. But I think unfortunately, I was looking forward to it, but I think in the end I had to give it because the action is good. I would give it a 3. The story, I think, I think the story just takes a nosedive, as you said, Shaun.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, Tosin. Thanks for that. I was going to say I'll give it a 3 as well because the action sequences, like you mentioned, the one with the arm and the other ones.
Yeah, when they do them well, they do them very well.
Yeah, so it's a 3 from me.
And it's a 3 from me.
No.
All right, cool. 3, we're in agreement. Even though I did think that, the fight scene on motorcycles.
Yeah.
As cool as it is, and you might say it's a homage, but I feel like they ripped it off from The Villainess.
Yeah, well, Villainess or Game of Death.
Yeah.
Which was a Bruce Lee film.
Oh, yeah, Bruce Lee film, yeah.
Wasn't Bruce Lee film. You remember where they were on the motorbikes?
Yeah. I remember he spends a large part of that in like a motorcycle helmet. Yeah,
that's
good point.
Yeah.
I did not even think of that. All right, cool. And so that's cinema kicking off with, I have to say, is a little bit of a disappointment. But now we go over to Netflix, and I think two of the things we're talking about on Netflix this week are where I think Netflix comes into its own, where it's a film that was released in the cinemas, did not have that much of a wide release, and so you just have to wait for it to come up, and when it comes on Netflix, you can catch up with it. And Sharon, you saw a film like this week, didn't you?
Yes, I saw a film called Swimming with Men.
Mm-hmm.
Which is from 2018. It sounds a little bit,
doesn't it?
But it's basically it's a gentle comedy. A man is having a midlife crisis, played by Rob Brydon, and he just doesn't know his place in the world.
It sounds like you said the midlife crisis was played by Rob Brydon, which that is a film I would love to see.
He's an accountant. He's been married a long time. He's got a grown-up family. And he just feels lost in his life, and he's lost sort of sense of meaning and purpose, even though there's nothing obviously wrong. He's just lost his way, and he's just having this crisis of identity and everything. And the one thing he likes to do, and is his escape, is he goes swimming. He just swims endlessly, doing lengths. And one day when he was at the pool, he sees this group of men there, synchronized swimming, and one day he gets talking to these guys, and he's saying the reason why your routine isn't working is because it's a mathematical problem. You don't have enough people. You need one more member or one less member to make that your routine work. And they say, wow, are you a swimming instructor? They said, no, I'm an accountant, but it's mathematics.
Yeah.
And they say, we need someone like you on our team. And he'd like go, no. But eventually he decides that he will join this male synchronized swimming team, and then it just follows on from there, and they end up going to the unofficial world synchronized swimming championships.
And is that against all girls?
No, it's always against all men.
It's all men, yes.
It's based on a true story, actually. There is actually
men do synchronized swimming.
Men's synchronized swimming world championship. And there's a real mixed bunch. You've got Rob Brydon is our protagonist. We see everything through his eyes. And the leader of the synchronized swimmers is played by Rupert Graves. And there's Jim Carter's in there. Daniel Mays is in there.
Adil Akhtar.
Yes, there's Adel Akbar, as you say. There's another guy, Thomas Turgoose, we've seen in a few things.
Yeah, from This Is England.
So, This Is England, yeah. So there's
one really bad scene in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. There's this really this disparate group of men who they decide, they say, when you go into the pool, you leave everything behind. You just, you leave your worries behind you and you just swim and do the thing. So I just really like this film.
So in some ways, when this film was released, it sounded like almost they were trying to make a British answer to Fight Club, with with less violence.
Synchronized swimming.
But with synchronized swimming. I mean, there were a lot of words bandied around when it was released in cinemas. Things like, addresses like, masculinity and what it means to be a man in today's society and all that kind of stuff. Is that some of the kind of thing you picked up, or did you just think, no? Just
I think it did. I think that how, in some ways, sort of, men have when they've done so much to promote sort of the sisterhood with women and about promoting equality and promoting, women's rights and about being strong and being forceful and it's like sometimes men just get put aside. They become less important in some ways, and so that could be really challenging to someone's identity, not just as a man, but if you feel that you have no value, or if you feel that you're just drifting through your life, then
I don't know what place there is for me in the world at the moment, or something like that.
Yeah, if they lack that sense of especially like with Rob Brydon's character, his wife's very successful, she's become a counsellor, she's an independent, strong woman, and it's like, okay, do you need me anymore? Do you love me anymore? Do you?
Yeah.
And so he's just suffering this midlife crisis. So I think, it's something. It's like saying to the men, sometimes you can just have things for men, and men supporting each other and helping each other and being with one another as a friendship. There's value in that, and we tend to see things like the chick flicks where it's all like girls supporting one another, women supporting one another, but this is like, actually, men need that support network as well. And this is a group of men from different backgrounds. They've got different things going on in their lives. We get a little glimpse of these things throughout the film, but basically it's about them supporting one another, working together, finding a purpose together, and enjoying themselves just by swimming about and kicking about in the water and having a bit of a riot when they do it. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was like I liked the sort of the gentle, the very British quality to it. To me, this appealed to me, this film, and the fact that it is ludicrous, but it is heartwarming, and you do root for them when they do. I won't give any spoilers, but when they compete in the unofficial world championships for synchronized swimming, and they announce in reverse order the teams, and they announce first of all that America have come last, and they're like punching the air and cheering and shouting, and they're saying, and all these Americans like go, what the hey? And they say, no, it's just that we're not last. We're really celebrating, we're really happy that we haven't come last. And they were thrilled at the thought that they might be sort of in 10th place. So like, yay, we've got somewhere. And I won't tell you where they did rank, but it was to me, it's a charming film, so I really enjoyed it.
How many stars did you give that?
How many stars?
I would give it actually 4.
Whoa!
Ooh.
I really enjoyed it.
Good.
It was just, to me, it was like a.
So was that originally a cinema film? Was that a Netflix film?
No, it was originally in cinemas.
Cinemas, huh?
But it did not have that wider release.
Not have a general release.
Yeah.
No, I just didn't remember seeing it at all before.
Yeah.
Come across it on Netflix by chance, and I thought, I think I'll give that a go. I'm glad I did.
All right, cool, good stuff. I think you might have just identified a new genre, the chick flick for men.
Chick flick for men, yes. What that called? What do they call that? A bromance flick?
Yeah.
No, not quite.
It's a bromance, but it's more of a.
I thought of blockbuster, but
that works.
Cool.
I thought of blockbuster, but that makes. But then again, you could say almost every big film is a blockbuster. So
yeah.
Like the Fast and Furious movies, Shaun? And moving on.
Yeah, like the Fast and Furious movies. Oh my god. There you go. There you
Okay,
Get out of here.
yeah, and moving on.
Really?
Moving on.
Boom, boom, boom.
Before Shaun explodes.
You're gonna turn your back on family.
Okay.
Awful.
Before Shaun blows
Don't talk
up.
to me about Fast and Furious.
Okay, all right. Okay,
Angry.
Sharon.
Calm
I
down.
think Sharon. I think I've set him off. I think I stepped on a landmine there. All right, cool. So now we're gonna go back to cinema and talk about the Curse of La Llorona.
Oh, the Curse of La Llorona.
Okay, cool.
What a
So
good thing to get me fired
Espanol.
up about. Espanol, I think, or Italian, or I don't know. I'm not
Okay.
sure. I think it's probably Spanish.
it's
But
Spanish,
anyway,
yeah.
it's got to be Spanish because she's Mexican. So
Yeah.
obviously. Hola, español.
Hola.
Habla español, señor. No, okay.
So Shaun, this is a horror movie, and carrying on with your endless thing of trying to find something that a horror movie that you think is actually scary. So tell us about this. I mean, from some of the stuff you said beforehand, I have an idea of where this might go. But what do you think about this film?
Oh, right, okay. Where do I start on this? This was like this.
That doesn't bode well.
No, it
does
doesn't bode well, does it? Really? So, to mention, this is a sham. It is a shoddy piece of. Well, it's not even horror. I don't know what you call it. Comedy, ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. You know. And that through the film, this La Llorona, that must be the mark of. Wait for it, La Llorona. All the way through, it's just going like this, right? You've got these priests and all saying it, and there's a little pause, and you could actually. We were saying what was coming next. You could say, "It will work for you, but not for me." It was like a comedy. It was a comedy. There was nothing original.
Was
in
it playing it straight though? But
Yes, it was. It was supposed to be
straight.
really,
Okay.
really mega straight. And you've got, you know, oh look, oh dear, there's the music's building up. The music's building up. What's coming? There's a mirror strategically placed right in the corner of the room. So what? Oh, you know, it's
Something
shooting
flickers
past.
in the corner of your eye.
And they're all exactly the same in all these Blumhouse productions because I think it's all part of the Annabelle universe.
Yeah.
And
The Conjuring,
just churning them out
it's
to
part of
make
the
money.
Conjuring universe.
Yeah.
That
Tell
keeps
me this,
spinning
right?
off into
This
all
is-
sorts of different areas.
Yeah. What I'm going to do? What? Oh, I cannot believe it. Right. So starts off with the.
What is the curse actually?
So
Yes, okay.
I love the
Yeah,
fact
go on.
I love the fact that Shaun has got to this level where you can't even make sentences anymore. You're just gonna like,
I'm gonna.
come on.
That's the worst it makes me. Right. So I'm gonna. What it is basically, way back in the past, this Mexican woman had killed her two sons because she was poor, whatever. So she was cursed by this tree because she killed her two sons to kill. If she happened to other people's children, she would have to kill them. And once the children had seen La Llorona, she would be after them. You know what I mean? To kill them.
That sounds a bit derivative of other things.
It's exactly the same. Anyway, so, but she's a social worker. Okay, so I want to say it like this, right? And there's the mark of La Llorona on one of these lads, and the lads. She sees the lad, and the lads. Anyway, they're the ones. That's the start of the film. They sort of get drowned, and they're so supposed. And so she brings her kids to the only time in the whole film. The rest of the time, she leaves the kids on her own in the house where she goes off and does stuff. But this one particular time, where the two lads had originally been down, she takes her kids, you know, and
There's no accounting for
No,
something
okay,
for
okay,
this.
Shaun, I'm getting a bit confused.
I'm sorry.
So
Yeah.
two kids get drowned, and the social
Two kids get drowned.
The social worker.
The social worker saw the two kids.
So wait, hang on a second. So the social worker the two kids get drowned. The social worker goes to go check out the kids who got drowned, but she takes her own kids with her.
Kids with them, yeah.
Okay, cool, get you.
Yeah, but she's seen the kids that got drowned. They were part of her case.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And the mother said, "Oh, don't take them." But anyway, she takes them, and she says, "Oh, she promises them they'll be safe." But obviously, that doesn't
Not
happen.
with the Curse of La Llorona
Not
about.
with the Curse of La Llorona. Anyway, the weeping woman. So her son gets out of the car and sort of sneaks around to see what's going on, and of course he sees La Llorona. He gets them.
Oh, he gets them out.
Llorona.
Oh, dear.
So he goes in, and then they were sat in the car. He goes back to the car, right, and all this weird stuff starts happening. The windows run down, just crash, right. Mother comes back. I'm sorry to give you all this. She says, "What's the matter?" And they go, "Nothing." Now you're telling me
A little child who's been terrified.
the kids had seen all this weird shit happen, would turn around and say nothing, you know? And then a bit later on, A bit later on, the daughter gets the mark. She sees the mark. She goes, "Oh, what have you done there?" She goes, "Oh, I fell over." Right? Exactly the same mark. "Oh, I fell over." So she just totally ignores it. She would say, if I was a kid, I'd say, "Oh my God, let's get that looked at. That could be quite painful. Let's get at least." No, she doesn't. She just lets it like that.
Okay.
And it's
Very
like,
good social
and she
worker.
stays in the house. Why would you stay in the house with all that weird stuff going on? You'd be gone, wouldn't you? Would you, Tosin? Wouldn't you? If there was sort of loads of strange stuff going on, would you leave your kids alone in the house? No,
No.
you get the hell out. Get the hell out of there.
Okay, so
sorry, but
so 5
I've got to
stars
say
then.
this. I'm going to give this something else. I'm going to say, right. I went to see this with a friend, and it was so much fun heckling this movie. This was one of the best heckler movies I've been at since the Black Woman. What was the
Woman
one,
in
two,
Black.
What was that? The Woman in Black 2. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this was the best heckler. So. And
How
it was
many
in the
people
luxury
were
room.
How many people were in the cinema with you?
There was
whilst
us
you were
and
heckling?
2 ladies up the back, I think. But I mean, but we were trying to do it under our breaths and all stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
But it
So
was just
so
the film
It's so bad
absolutely
it's good.
awful, so bad it's good. So I would give it absolutely so many plot holes, so many of that. As a film on its own, it gets a 1 star.
Yeah.
But as a heckling film, it's pretty fun to go and watch, yeah. But let's give it a 1 star because it is awful. It is absolutely awful. It's just been churned out to try and make money because they must make loads of money from these films.
So it's a 1 star with an asterisk. It's like, yeah, go watch it because you'll have fun heckling and go see with it.
It's so awful. I mean, it's so awful that it would be good. You wouldn't open if you got doors that are locked and like doors slamming and all sorts of stuff going. What would you do, Sharon? Would you think what the hell is going on here, or would you leave your kids?
I'd probably think, why is that door slamming for no reason?
But anyway, let's so fun to heckle.
Fun to heckle. So if you got nothing else from that, get the fact that Shaun did not think much of it, which is a bit of a shame because it has Linda Cardellini in it, and I will usually watch anything with her in it. I love it. I think she's a great actress, but unfortunately, sounds like a bad film. And so now we go
really bad film.
We go back to Netflix, and now on Netflix this week I saw a film called The Wife, and this is a film that I have been scouring all the streaming platforms for this film for ages. I've been like, when can I see this? When can I see this? They keep having a listing on Sky Cinema, and the listing on Sky Cinema goes to nothing. It goes to nowhere. It doesn't. It says it doesn't let you watch it. It says, oh yeah, this film's here, but you can't actually click play on it because this is the film that Glenn Close got nominated for a Best Actress award in February. She lost out to Olivia Colman in The Favourite, but it's a film that I've heard so much about and I'd been wanting to find, but it was one of those things that was in and out cinemas. It just sort of like, it didn't even clean its feet. It just sort of like flew straight through. And finally it got on Netflix. Netflix, this is a win for you. I got to watch it earlier today, and I have to say I actually quite like this film. There isn't much to it. It's essentially at the beginning of the film you see an old married couple, and it's Jonathan Pryce and Glenn Close, and they're waiting for a phone call, and the man is pacing up and down. You can see that he's quite nervous. He doesn't really know what he's going to do, and it turns out the phone call that they're waiting for is from the Nobel Prize Committee, and they're saying, and it's to say, you've been awarded the Nobel Prize. And so as it goes on, you find out that the character played by Jonathan Pryce, a guy called Joe Castleman, he's quite I guess you could use the word irascible. Sharon, you have to correct me on my grammar here or anything like that.
That sounds about right to me.
Yeah, irascible. So he the kind of person who everything around him has to be done for him, and everything sort of revolves around him, and he's a little bit of a man baby, and you start getting the idea that through this marriage, Glenn Close, as the wife of the title, she's been doing a lot of stuff to just look after him, and a lot of stuff to just make sure that he gets in the right place, and a lot of stuff, and you get the idea that she sacrificed a lot of stuff for him to have the career that he has, that's culminating in this Nobel Prize. And it's one of these sort of character pieces, and I think Glenn Close is absolutely amazing in it. I mean, her face, the woman does so much with her face to tell you what is going on without saying any words. And I think I heard the director of the film saying that the whole film is in the first scene of the film, and pretty much because whenever I saw anything, I've been trying to avoid spoilers for this film for probably about 7 months because I wanted to find somewhere to watch it. Couldn't catch it in the cinema, couldn't find it on any of the streaming things, and I refused to pay any money to rent it because I was like, it will come on a streaming service sooner or later. And it's hard to avoid spoilers, and I think that there's some of the things of where the film goes and where the drama is well, it's hard to even if you're watching the trailer, it's hard to avoid spoilers of where the film is going, and that's mostly down to Glenn Close's face because she tells you in 5 minutes into the film something happens, and she tells you with her face, this is what's going on. This is what's going on in this marriage. And there's one particular reaction she has. It's really, really subtle. But I feel like in that reaction, you get what the last 40 years of this marriage has been about. And the title tells you it's the wife. It focuses on them. And I can't really talk much more about plots without giving away stuff. But I just think the way in which it's handled is just really, really well done. It has a lot to say about what women sacrifice, especially because the film is set in 1992. So there's a scene of them flying on Concorde and all that kind of stuff. It's set in 1992. It starts off in, I think, 58, where she meets him at a college and he's a professor, she's a student, all that. And it goes through a lot about what it was like for a woman trying to make it in the literary world at that time. And how she would have gone, they would have gone together, what it would have meant, and then asking questions as to whether, is it all right for a woman to sacrifice so that the husband can do well, and if that's the case, I think the relationship is actually really, really cool because it's not like one of them is the bad guy, if you get what I mean. It's one of the things where you have like two people and they have the different bits of they have the different things that they bring to the relationship, and it's about how they interact with each other. But that's enough of me talking. Do you guys have any questions about this? Because you're being quite quiet. Are you still there?
You're still here. Yeah,
Still
it
here,
sounds
yeah.
like an interesting film.
Yeah, it sounds like an interesting
Is there
film.
any sort of like a is it sort of like a dramatic rise and fall, or is it like a character study of their relationship? What sort of like what drives the film along? Is it just their sort of you dissecting how their relationship works and how the past has influenced the present?
I think it's more of the second one. It's more of a study of their relationship, of a study of these two people and how they've act. And so it doesn't bother itself with bigger ideas outside of these two people. But I think that there's a lot of issues within these two people that other people would relate to, like in a long marriage, what happens, who sacrificed more, all that kind of stuff. And I had something I was going to say that was going to be good, but yeah, I think it's more. Oh yeah, but one extra wrinkle is that you have somebody who has been trying to do a biography of the Jonathan Pryce character, played by Christian Slater, who keeps popping up every now and then. And he keeps trying to say, trying to get an interview with different family members, and they keep rebuffing him and pushing him away. And he's trying to he's like, okay, there's a secret in here, and he's trying to get at it. And I think Christian Slater is really good and really effective in it. He's only in a couple of scenes, but he comes in and he's almost kind of like, the audience's eyes that's prying away, going, what is it about these two people? What is it that's going on in the background? What it is that they're trying to put on? I think and the secret they're holding is not like earth shattering. It's not like they killed someone or anything like that. But well, maybe not. But it's just interesting and it's quite good. It's only about 100 minutes long, so it's so it's quite compact. It's really quite compact. There's a little bit at the beginning of them in America. Then most of it is them in Stockholm, where they go for the Nobel Prize ceremony, and it's all about what happens around the Nobel Prize ceremony and how all the things that have been going on throughout their marriage come to a head. So, yeah, at some points it reminded me a bit of a film called 45 Years with Charlotte Was that Charlotte Rampling? Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, Charlotte Rampling. It reminded me a bit of that. It's not as devastating or as sad as 45 Years, but it's a very good film. I'll give it a 4. And I'm glad and thank you, Netflix. I have finally got to watch that film. I have been trying to find it for like 7 months. So yeah, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it and say, give it a go. See what you think. Okay, and now we go back to the cinemas. And in cinemas, we have Aladdin that the both of you saw this week. Now, was this a preview screening?
No.
No, it was I think it was
regular.
But it was. I think it's just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
it
released
the
on
first
Friday.
day
I
released?
think.
Oh, Friday.
Yeah, it was released on Friday. I think.
All right. Okay. Cool.
So,
I totally missed that. Totally missed. So this is Disney.
Yeah.
Disney dipping back into their back catalog and doing the whole.
We've had some really good conversations about this, haven't we?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we had some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire away. Let me in. Fill me in.
Well, you know the story of Aladdin, anyone who's familiar with the Arabian Nights, the tales of Scheherazade, knows that it's just a story of Aladdin, a street thief who falls in love with a princess, and then finds in this magic cave finds this lamp that. When he robs it, a genie appears and grants him 3 wishes. And so the story that it follows the story of the animated film,
Yep.
but with real actors in it. Now, the only drawback to that both Shaun and I encountered was neither of us had seen the animated film.
Yeah, we hadn't.
So when they burst into song, it's like, oh, they're singing.
Yeah,
in
they're
it.
singing.
And I know that won't come as a surprise if you've seen the film,
Disney.
but I must admit I was a bit like, oh, they're singing again. Now, I like musicals, I have to say, but I didn't recognise any. I recognised one song, The Whole New World. Yeah, when they're flying about on a magic carpet.
Which I think would have been, for me, sorry to come in there, Sharon, I think that if people had seen the original film,
Yes.
that might possibly bring tears to
Yeah.
their eyes. But for
that
me,
is a highlight of the original film.
Yeah. So both of us sat there not really knowing what was going on. But it wasn't necessarily a bad thing, was it? That we'd have no idea what was coming next, because it makes you sort of experience the film with new eyes.
That's it.
But we both went into it without,
I'm actually quite interested in this to see what you guys thought about it.
Yeah, so I thought it was slightly too long.
Slightly too long, yeah. It was,
And when it gets to the end, it's like, oh, get on with it. Just do what you've got to do and let's, move on. And then you said, is there going to be another musical number? And I said, I hope not.
and then they did.
And they did.
They did, yeah.
But no, it was enjoyable, wasn't it? I enjoyed
it was.
Again, the world building. We talk about this, how they've created this sort of... It's not a real Arabian country. It's just like this sort of...
But it was great for me to know. It was great for me to know the story because I've sort of heard of it and like how the lamp changes from here to there and there to there. Which and you know me with my funny things. Some of it made quite a lot of sense.
Yes,
you know
because
I
I didn't realise that if someone stole the lamp, they get their wishes. They get the 3 wishes. Because I thought once it was Aladdin's lamp, that it was his until he'd had his 3 wishes fulfilled.
Yeah.
And then it was up for grabs. But people were sort of grabbing it mid wishes and they were having their 3 wishes. So I was thinking, well, how does that work then? And then if Aladdin got it back, does he go back to 3 wishes or does he go back to how many wishes he's got left? So I didn't really understand the mythology. But when they were at one point when everyone kept grabbing it, I just thought, hang on, how many people can...
Everybody wanted
it.
Oh,
okay. It's not because the original, that is an absolute classic of mine. I mean, it's a favorite of mine. I think it's.
I think it is a generation thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was one of the first Disney films I know I watched all the way through, and we would pass the videotape around at school. We would watch it over and over again. We knew all the songs, the Prince Ali song, the Prince Ali reprised by Jafar. We knew the words and all that kind of stuff, and also obviously the genie originally was played by Robin Williams, and that is just and that's a performance that a lot of people would tell you that changed animation because of the way Robin Williams did it. Like they just put him in a recording booth for a couple of days, let him talk, and then they animated around what he said as opposed to giving him a script. So it was just great, and it was one of those things that when they said they were going to make this as a live action movie, I was like, oh, I don't know about this, guys. You might want to leave it alone because Robin Williams, and so now they've replaced Robin Williams as the genie with Will Smith. And
Will Smith, yeah,
and there was a lot of opera online when they showed the first look of this film when you saw the genie, because I don't think
when he's blue.
Yeah, when he's blue, and they I don't think they had finished the effects yet, and he didn't. It looked weird. How does it work? How does it end up looking? How does the genie work in the final film?
I thought he looked quite good.
He was quite good. I should admit. I mean, obviously, not having seen Aladdin, you are aware of it because you see it in pictures, pictures and all things like that. Yeah. And I may have seen a little bit, a sort of clip of Robin Williams because that is pretty good. But I wouldn't know for definite, but he does do quite a few. You know,
he does
here, there,
singing and
everywhere, doesn't
dancing
he?
and
Yeah. So
bopping.
as I say, for me, I would think, because I did actually have a look around and see, because there was a few people there, and I was looking at people's reactions.
Yeah.
And I think it's a generation film, and I think that some of the people there, from that looked at, especially the ladies, I saw like fairly big grins on their faces. You know,
they were thinking, yes, this is the moment from the film.
I always like to see a reaction. So, but the discussion I had at Tosin is quite funny with these live action Disney films, because I was sort of put off them, because when I went to see.
You didn't like Maleficent, did you? No.
Maleficent she was an evil character.
Yeah.
But they really toned her down and actually turned her, in that film, they turned her into a nice...
just misunderstood.
Just misunderstood.
Yeah.
And she wasn't misunderstood. She was... And that's my era, Tosin, you see. So, you know, Sleeping Beauty. So... And that's probably the first Disney film that I really, really remember. So
Shaun, have you ever seen Wicked on stage?
No.
Okay, then you might not want to see Wicked on stage. Then.
No, I probably wouldn't. But I mean, so Maleficent put me off. The Jungle Book was okay. That was okay.
I really like.
I haven't seen Dumbo because everybody said how awful it was.
That's the only one I haven't seen actually, but it didn't seem to be at the cinema for very long.
No.
Dumbo, I thought was a massive disappointment.
Oh, I do. That's a shame.
Yeah. I mean, if they do, they might. The films I haven't seen are like your Hercules. I didn't even go and see Beauty and the Beast. Did you go see Beauty and the Beast?
I saw Beauty and the Beast. I really enjoyed Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, I should have given that a chance, maybe. I mean, I would give, now, through seeing Aladdin, I probably would give some other ones a chance again. Yeah,
but and I saw Cinderella. I think Cinderella was one of the early big ones, wasn't it? When they were
Cinderella
like touting
was the big one.
Was it? And did they follow the? Because I mean, I obviously remember.
From what I remember, I've watched some of those early Disney's big, long time ago. So it's sort of dragging into my sort of childhood sort of memories, really. But I have seen Beauty and the Beast. I've seen the stage version of that, and I have seen the cartoon of that once. But so I enjoyed the live action version. But yeah, this I on the whole I enjoyed it. I mean, because I did. The only thing I didn't feel to me was as convincing was the tiger.
Yeah, do you know, it's funny, I was just going to mention that.
I wasn't sold on the tiger.
Yeah, I wasn't really. He was sort of something to nothing, wasn't he?
Really? Yeah, I was thinking he wasn't really a tiger, and he wasn't really...
Sort of
to me, he didn't really quite work as a
creature.
As a creature.
He didn't look right, did he?
To me, it wasn't quite... He was a bit cartoony, if that makes sense. He didn't look like a real tiger. There was just something a little off about him. To me, it didn't... Because when there's a tiger in a room, you know it's a tiger. And this, you see it, and you didn't feel that sort of animal presence.
And it didn't really do much, really. Let's be honest.
It just sort of licked one person and growled at someone else.
Yeah, I know. Really. That's it, basically. That's what it did. And it's supposed to be, I mean...
You know, it's like a tiger.
I'd like to see a few heads get bitten off and stuff like that, you know.
Sean, Disney family film. Come on.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But I like the
monkey. Sorry about that, Tosin. Yeah, of course, I forgot about that.
I quite like the monkey and I quite like the parrot.
Yeah, I did. Monkey and the parrot were quite clever.
Abu and Yago were always like, they were like the comic relief in the first film. They were awesome.
Yeah, so they're obviously key. If you know, obviously, when you see it, you'll go, "Oh, I know that moment," and they've got that moment. But I thought, I liked the monkey and I liked the parrot. The title was a bit off, but the rest of them, I thought everyone played their parts well. I thought,
yeah, they did.
And
I agree.
Oh, there's no one. I thought, hang on a minute, you're obviously like, I'm an actor acting.
That's right.
No one overdid it. I thought they all did it. They did it well.
Yeah.
I thought.
So what you're saying is that Guy Ritchie done good.
Yes, I didn't realise it was a Guy Ritchie film until the credits come up, and I was like, "Oh,
all right." So and at no point does anybody mention the word slag.
I don't, not when I was there.
No, not that nice.
Maybe
London,
that was in the translated.
That was in the corrupted that we spoke about earlier.
All right, cool. So it sounds like you guys had a good time. How many stars would you give this?
I'm just going to give it a 3 because
I would probably say the same because I wasn't emotionally invested in it.
But I would think if you were emotionally invested in it and you had seen the original, it would probably be right with the stream because it would bring back. As I say, my little peruse around the crowd when they were singing, and there was a couple of ladies there that certainly had big grins on their fases. So almost a nostalgic thing.
You guys can't see me right now, but honestly, I had a big smile on my face while you guys were just talking about it. I was like, oh yeah, Yago, Raja,
I know that.
It'll be great. It'll be great when you see it and you give us your thoughts on it.
Because
quickly.
we obviously saw it as complete novices to
Yeah.
this particular film. So anyone who knows the film and knows those touch points that bring the film to life, we need your opinion on this, Toes.
Okay, cool, good stuff. I will go see it.
But I'd give it a
Probably
3
end
as
up
well.
hating
I'd
it
give
when
it a
you
3.
say,
Yeah.
nothing like it.
Yeah, to
he's
be honest
rubbish.
with you, that is my starting point. My starting point is how dare you.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But I start from like, how very dare you make this
That's
film?
like, I know.
The fact-
How very dare you? I mean, I've been seeing things. How very, very, very dare they? The talk of Mel Gibson remaking The Wild Bunch.
Don't
Oh.
even go there.
They don't even. That is just like cannot happen.
Yeah. So that's it. That's like that's my starting point is how very dare you make this film, and I'm hoping that like a bit like the Jungle Book, I'm pleasantly surprised and not like Dumbo where I thought, oh my God, what have you done? So, all right, cool. So now we go back to Netflix. We have 10 minutes. This is the final film we're going to talk about today. Our final thing we're going to talk about today. So we always try and put in like one of the original content that is made by either Netflix or Amazon Prime. We want to have that. We want to have things that might have been in the cinema, but the whole idea is that we couldn't have seen it before. And if we're going to talk about TV series, we want to talk about an entire season of a TV series. And Shaun, you have fulfilled that requirement, and you have seen the entire first season of a Netflix original.
I have, yes, I have, and that original is Bojack Horseman.
Bojack Horseman.
Bojack Horseman.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's basically the story. Yeah, go on, Toes.
I was going to say, I just want to first up, no pressure, but I really, really like this show. So,
okay.
Is it like?
you've seen it as well.
Is it like Mr. Ed?
Well, no.
No.
it's.
I don't know anything about horse programs.
It's basically, as I say, well, the story basically he's like a faded. Yeah, he's like a faded 90s TV soap. He sort of was in a
it was in a sitcom in the 90s.
Program everybody loved sitcom, the 90s sitcom, and of course it's all
something
faded,
like Full House or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, something along those lines with different people in the family. But what's really interesting with this is you got Bojack Horseman, and he is a horse, and then you've got real life people, but you've got like his agent is his agent is like a cat, and you've got like a newsreader that's like a humpback whale.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you've got just normal people in there as well, and you've got
so they're all interacting together.
There's some great characters. Yeah, there's like
Diane.
It's all about him trying to do his autobiography, but he needs ghostwriters. Right. So and it's I mean, as I say, the first episodes, it was I didn't really know what to expect. I was sort of thinking, well, what is it? But I carried on, and I don't know what it is, but there is something about it, Tosin, that makes you want to watch the next episode. It's really, really strange. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, but it was. I just thought, I'll watch the next one, see what happens there. And because it's not like a smash bang in your face, like, whoa, that's so good and that, but it's just something that I felt I wanted to watch. So because there's some really, really interesting characters in there. There's a lot of interesting characters in there. Yeah, I think, and Mr. Peanut Butter.
Oh, Mr. Peanut Butter.
Mr. Peanut Butter.
He's a dog.
He's a bit. Yeah, I'm not really keen on him much. He's a bit too much. But,
I think that is essentially the point of the character. So but okay. Going back to what you were saying, Shaun, about how you start watching it, and I think it's a very, very well made show. This was one of the first Netflix originals. It was one of the first. I think it was definitely the first animated Netflix show. So the BoJack Horseman, he's voiced by Will Arnett, who also voices the Lego Batman, and it's set in this sort of fictional Los Angeles that is filled with all these anthropomorphized animals as anthropomorphized. I can't remember whatever that word means, that they're like animals.
We know what you mean.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And it's filled with all these animals, but also still has humans in it. And it's really a satire on the whole showbiz thing. So, it's a satire on the whole showbiz thing. And BoJack, as Shaun said, had his heyday in the 90s, and he's now sort of like scrabbling about for bit parts. He's still rich because he still has a really, really big house in the Beverly Hills. He has, but he doesn't have like a purpose. He doesn't have like a hit show anymore. And the show that he had, which was called Horsing Around, was his big thing, and he keeps trying to relive his glory days. But this doesn't this is possibly one of the most truthful shows about what life in Hollywood is actually like, even though it has a horse as its lead character. So
very superficial.
Yeah.
I think a lot of characters.
they're massively superficial. They it's like the amount of drugs and drink and how the number of people who that are just mentally they're just very, very unhealthy in this place. It is, and I know exactly what you were saying about how you start watching it and you go, well, there wasn't really any big thing. There wasn't really any big thing we were pushing towards. But I watched the next episode. I watched the next episode. I watched it, and before you know it, you've watched the whole season. And I think there's 4 seasons of it now. I've watched every single episode, and I'm just really, I'm really, really impressed.
Is it? Does it say pretty consistent? Is it? Is it still good?
Yeah,
the rest of the seasons.
Yeah, I think the rest of the seasons are really, really good. I think the way they develop some of the characters is really interesting. Like the character of Todd. So
Todd, he's like that, yeah.
Todd is this sort of stoner who lives on Bojack Horseman's couch.
Yeah,
and
he just
crashes.
Yeah, just crashes.
He just crashes, and he doesn't really have a thought in his head. But where they go with Todd, I think is actually quite interesting. And they combat a lot of the scandals that have hit. There's an episode coming up later, Shaun, that you're going to be watching it and you're going to be thinking Harvey Weinstein.
Oh right, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So they're still making it then.
They're still making it, yeah, because where the 4th season ended, they're going to have to make another one. And I think people love the show. It's like critically rated, and I just think it's a great show. I think the interaction between the characters is awesome, and I think the way it tackles issues such as mental health and abuse and all that kind of stuff is quite good.
Yeah, definitely. I tell you, the episode that I really liked was when his ghostwriter Diane. I think Diane, am I right?
Yeah, Diane Nguyen, yeah.
And he goes to visit their family. She goes, I've got to go. And he pops in, and there's like a couple of twins. She's got like brothers and stuff. And they're like, hey, Bojack, hey, and he sort of hits it off and pretty good. I quite liked that episode, and I thought that episode was, a few of the episodes were pretty good, but that one particularly, because there are actually characters like that I've actually known. I know that sounds weird. Those twins, Diane's twins, I've actually met
twin brothers,
met characters that are really similar to that. You know what I mean? It's so I wonder. Hopefully, they'll probably pop in it again. Will they in some future seasons? Or turn up?
I'm not going
You're not going to tell me.
I'm not going to tell you.
Oh right, okay.
You need to watch it and find out. But But how many stars would you give BoJack Horseman?
Well, I'd have to give it because it's really strange that you just want to keep watching them. Yeah. Because, as I say, they're not like, I don't know, but I'm going to give it a 4. Because I did like it. I give it a 4.
I would
surprisingly liked it, and it is very subtle and it's very clever.
It is. Yeah. It is very subtle. It is very clever, and I don't think they do it so much in season 1, but there are some bits in the later seasons that are actually genuinely heartbreaking. That are that are genuinely heartbreaking. Like you're watching it and you're thinking, oh wow, sheesh. It's not your straightforward comedy show. There's bits where you get invested in the lives of these characters. I mean, his agent, Princess Caroline, who's a Persian cat, where she goes with it. I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler in a future episode. There's a bit where she starts dating a mouse, and
oh wow!
And when she meets,
that's going to be interesting. Yeah,
yeah. And when she meets his family, it's just kind of like a whoa! It's like an allegory bomb that just goes off when she meets his family. It's you're like thinking, oh my god, this could be that could be that. Whoa! So I would agree with you. It's a 4. It's to be honest with you, I would almost go 5 with BoJack Horseman.
Really?
The problem is just that it's if you ask me to say, oh, why should I watch BoJack Horseman, I couldn't give you because of XYZ. It's like I couldn't. It just sort of like seeps in and then it just hangs around you. And
I know it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's weird that you have to you think, I just watch the next step. Because with Netflix, what's really good, they have like the next episode in like 4 seconds or something.
Yeah.
And then you get the skip intro and it's like, I 4 seconds, and then it sort of comes in. You think, I just watched this one. And then it's like, I've just watched this one. Oh, why don't you get them do some washing up? Oh, no, I'll just watch this one.
It's only, they're only, 24 minutes long or something?
Yeah, that's another thing. So
but really, really yeah, really, really like the show. Really like the show. All right, cool. So all that's left now is to say who has won this week. I think it's a little bit obvious, but the winner this
I
week,
think it's probably
the winner this week by well, this is a whopping 1.7 points with by whopping 1.7 points or 1.7 stars or whatever you want to call it is Netflix.
It's
Yes.
got to be, isn't it? Really, I think this week Netflix absolutely kicked ass. Excuse my expression.
Yeah, it was.
Sure, it did.
It's fours across the board. Netflix was just fours across the board this week, and but I think it's good. I think we had a good selection. So if you're watching on Netflix this week, you could do very, very much worse than watching Swimming with Men, The Wife, or BoJack Horseman. So with that, I think I need to let you guys go. All that's left to say is a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
That was my Aladdin. That was my Aladdin bursting into song.
right.
By the way.
Yeah. I heard.
Goodbye from me. Yeah.
I picked up a little bit of a whole new world in there. I picked up a little bit of whole new, and so I think what we're gonna do, Shaun, is because Sharon said stuff about when she was reviewing Swimming with Men, how it's good for men to go do things alone with men. So next week, you and me go to the cinema, leave Sharon at home. How about that?
Cool.
Okay, cool. We'll do
I can
that.
live with that.
All right, cool. Thanks very much, guys.
All right, mate.
See you next week.
Bye.